My sermon's about shepherds today, but you won't hear about them till the very end. I'm just letting you know that I intend to get to the shepherds. I also intend for you to know great joy, but in order to get there, we must start in a different place. For those of you who don't know, this says bah humbug on it. I am now impersonating a famous character. The ghost pointed to the grave by which it stood. Men's courses will foreshadow certain ends, to which if persevered in they must lead, said Scrooge. But if the courses be departed from, the ends will change. Say it is thus with what you show me. The spirit was as immovable as ever. Scrooge crept toward it, trembling as he went, and following the finger, read upon the stone of the neglected grave his own name, Ebenezer Scrooge. Dickens called it a ghost story. Truly, he did. And the last of the three ghosts is the most harrowing. It never says a word. It's not a very merry or peaceful story. In fact, I'll be reading it aloud, part of it today, and while it is very beautiful, there's not an angel or a shepherd or a babe or a virgin to be found in all its pages. Most of it is, in fact, fairly sad, full of regret, and toward the end, when Scrooge sees his own grave, abject terror. It's my favorite Christmas story. But not because it is sad or gruesome. For you see, at the most terrible moment in the tale, the one you just heard, as Scrooge grabs onto the robed phantom, pleading for hope, suddenly things change. I will live in the past, the present, and the future, Scrooge repeated as he scrambled out of bed. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. Oh, Jacob Marley, heaven in the Christmas time be praised for this. I say it on my knees, old Jacob, on my knees. He was so fluttered and so glowing with his good intentions that his broken voice would scarcely answer to his call. He'd been sobbing violently in his conflict with the spirit. His face was wet with tears. They aren't torn down, cried Scrooge, folding one of the bed curtains in his arms. They're not torn down, rings and all, and they are here. I am here. The shadows of the things that would have been may be dispelled. They will be. I know they will. His hands were busy with his garments all this time, turning them inside out, pulling them upside down, tearing them, mislaying them, calling them parties to every kind of extravagance. I don't know what to do, cried Scrooge, laughing and crying in the same breath, making a perfect fool of himself with his stockings. I'm as light as a feather. I'm as happy as an angel. I'm as merry as a schoolboy. I'm as giddy as a drunken man. Scrooge knows joy. Joy beyond the joy any of us in this room are feeling right this moment. Beyond the joy any of us have felt, most of us, in most of our entire lives. The last Sunday in Advent is for joy. And Scrooge, to me, if he is the epitome of miserliness, is the epitome of joyfulness, the highest example of true joy. And I can tell you why. Because he must be both. Because true joy can only exist in response to true hollowness, to the sorrows and losses that we all endure that hollow us out. In Scrooge's case, it took three ghosts to dig out that encrusted heart of his and leave a space into which the joy could flow. Because I want to remind you of words penned by the great Lebanese poet Khalil Gibran, who said, "Your joy is your sorrow unmasked." and the self-same well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with tears. And how else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. The message here is that a life without sorrow and defeat and sadness is also a life without joy. But the life with sorrow, defeat, and sadness is not necessarily one of joy. The lesson here is that life will hollow all of us out, and every one of us can, has, and will feel a certain emptiness of heart. Have you lost a love? Have you lost a job? Do you endure family trials with children or spouse or parent? Do you and your neighbor wish to get along better? Would you rather not have to repair the house every week? Do you look at the checkbook and wonder how to stretch them a little further? Is your health nagging at you, or is the health of a loved one nagging at you? We all expect life to be full of goodness, and we are all thwarted by reality. It's inevitable. Those who know Dickens' story know that the first ghost takes him to visit his past, and we visit all of his losses, being left alone in the boys' school. How sad that was. And to remember his own sister who died in childbirth. He misses the merriment of his youth. We all have those losses. His heart, like the Grinch, which I read last week, shriveled up by all the losses. That's the risk we all face, isn't it? That all of our losses will make us withdraw and clench and hold on, become grasping, squeezing, wheezing, as Dickens calls Scrooge, a flinty old man from whom few sparks ever come forth, he says, as solitary as an oyster. We all face that temptation to shrivel up and say, I can't bear another loss, I can't bear another defeat, I can't take it anymore because I'm so hollowed out. And so what do? Well, most of us go in search of something to fill us up. A new love. Well, she didn't love me anyway. More fish in the sea. New faith. Well, that church didn't like me. I'll go find a new church. New hope. Well, that job didn't work out, but maybe the next one will. We go looking to supplement, to replace the thing we lost. The great writer C.S. Lewis, in his spiritual autobiography, Surprised by Joy, talks about his own treacherous walk toward faith, in which he says, you must picture me alone in that room night after night, feeling whenever my mind lifted for even a second from my work the steady, unrelenting approach of him whom I so earnestly desired not to meet. His heart was closed to faith, having been disappointed in his early years.